just waiting for the intro to stop. How is everybody? I'm finally doing my 2025 predictions. I've sat down to do it about 10 times and felt like I should wait, or it wasn't quite time, and now I'm not sure what I was waiting for, but I just kind of waited till it felt okay to give them, and it feels okay now. A few other things did come in that time, but here I am doing the predictions. So I wanted to give you right off the bat just a few quick things that kind of came in that are just predictions that came in that I wanted to kind of give you right off the bat. And then I'm going to talk about the United States and kind of my guides or spirits, suggestions for us and ideas for us. And a way to kind of understand and see where things are going. So one of the things that I saw, and I should also let you know that my daughter's in the UK, so we have kind of a family connection to the UK, and so I usually get things about the UK. I did feel like it was going to be kind of a rocky year financially. I felt that for the US as well, just very up and down and kind of unsteady, and kind of ups and downs. And I felt like there'd be a couple of downs that felt like, oh, is this a crash? So I felt like this is in the US. I felt like there might be even the feel of like, this feels like a crash, or is this a crash? Because it dips so low, but it seems to keep kind of coming back. So that's kind of how it feels. Now with the UK, it felt a little steadier than that, but it still felt like it was kind of up and down. And I even felt like they might have some job things, like job losses and things like that. So we'll see. But I did feel that around, it's either summer or fall, that Harry and Meghan come back to the UK. And it kind of feels like they stay. So I don't know if it just gets too intense around the US, so they move to the UK, or if there's a reason why they come back to the UK. I was feeling around for that, and I felt like I just wasn't getting much. So, but I did see them returning to the UK for some reason. I also got that Putin was going to lose territory. This is all for entertainment purposes only, by the way. Just the crazy voices in my head. But yeah, this is all for entertainment purposes only. I just want to cover that. That Putin was going to lose territory to Ukraine, but also to China, which was weird. I thought, China, what does China have to do with this? But, and this is, I don't know if this is 2025 or if this is like, ultimately, this is what's going to happen. Because I was asking about, when I do these predictions, I ask about, what about Putin? What about this person? What about this person? What about this territory? What about this territory? And that's what I got, but it kind of felt like it moved outside of 2025. But that's what I got, that he was going to lose. He was ultimately going to lose territory, even if he gained some or whatever, it's going to be lost. And it will go back to Ukraine, and then China. China comes into the mix for some reason. So maybe somebody can explain that, or, I don't tend to look things up when I get them, or, I just kind of go with it. So that's what I got. So China. And NATO expands. So I feel like they are going to let Ukraine into NATO, and NATO is going to expand. And I felt like the European coalition over the next year is going to get very strong and very, I even felt like there was some of Brexit that was kind of dropped or left. It's kind of like the UK kind of returns to the European Union, or and I feel like, I almost feel like it's not officially, but it's understood, that kind of thing. So I felt like some things would be relaxed, like travel things and working things and that kind of thing would be relaxed, just because they just want to give a strong, showing. And I talked about the up and down kind of money in the US. Um, I felt that that I want to be careful about this because I don't want anyone to panic or anything like that. But I did feel like Trump would try to change our currency or shift our currency somehow. I'm not, and it could be just talk because you know how a lot of stuff with him is just talk. It could be that, but I feel like it affects certain things, and so um, it doesn't feel like it goes through. It doesn't feel like it's done. It just feels like it's kind of a mess for a little bit. Um, and it doesn't mean to, have a run on the banks or something like that. It just means that it just feels kind of like it's it's looked at as kind of uh, like a let's do this kind of thing and then backing away from it. So just wanted to make you aware of that. And I felt like it's a way to steal. It's a way to launder money. That's what it felt like. So they may try to turn it into crypto or turn it into something that's more maneuverable and takeable, but it doesn't feel like it goes through. It feels like it kind of falls flat or doesn't work, or he getting too much pushback or something. I did feel like they were going to try to do things with Social Security, with Medicare, with healthcare, but I felt like none of it happens. All of it is just talk, and I do feel like it's one of the things that kind of joins the two sides to say no. So, Trump, there's part of him that likes being disliked, but not by the people he wants to like him. And I feel like once things happen that they don't like, it's backed off of almost immediately. So that's what I've got for that. And I'll go back to that because, I'll go back to all this stuff. And by the way, just an FYI, if I laugh or if I'm laughing out of exasperation, sometimes I laugh out of the absurdity of it all, how ridiculous it is. I'm never laughing at like a tragedy or laughing at something awful that might happen. I'm a naturally cheerful person, and I think that's how I deal with annoyances and absurdity. Like now, and I'm kind of a naturally more upbeat person, and so, but I don't want anyone to get offended by that or think that I'm like thinking this is hilarious, because I don't. But just in case, that's what I want to say. And then I felt like there is I'm not sure if I should go into this now, but basically the way this is going to go, if we go into Trump 2.0, Trump, whatever, go into this next couple of years, that it's going to be chaotic, loud, mean, and will be short-lived. It's not going to be very long. It's going to be a couple of years. I do feel like there is I'll just say a stroke or a heart, something that kind of comes at some point. Is that clear enough? I hope that's clear enough. So I don't want to go too much into that, but I just felt like a health thing might kind of come at some point. It felt maybe in year 2. So I just wanted to say that as well. And that during this time, there is a dislike and a distaste that grows. I feel like it kind of stays like this for a lot of people, how a lot of people have just kind of turned away. Like this is your problem. We're not dealing with this. We did this before. We're not doing this again. It's partly exhaustion. it's partly not understanding what happened. Everybody has a feeling something's wrong, but they're not really sure what. So it's almost like they're waiting. They're waiting for something, and I'll get to that as well. But that's kind of the feeling, and I feel like that stays. People don't want to get into this, and then at some point, everybody is pulled in, and I feel like everybody works together to stop some things, to halt some things, to make sure these people know where we stand. And so there will come a point when people kind of come out of hibernation and out of, I'm not saying everybody is in a hibernation right now, but I've definitely felt it myself. And I know that a lot of people they're exhausted. They're traumatized. They're exhausted. They're tired. They don't want to deal with gaslighting. They don't want to deal with the lying anymore. They're tired. They're just tired. And I also feel like they're tired of fighting for people that don't want to be fought for. That people that just that seem to want to go down this road. So I feel like they're just kind of like, okay, all right, this, you wanted this, you got it. I'm not doing this. That's kind of what it feels like. And I feel like that kind of continues for a while. And then a few things kind of pull people back, kind of engage them again and makes them kind of move. Okay. And then I did feel a lot of, I did feel like Putin is going to be taken down by his own people. And I feel like Trump is kind of the same thing. It's going to look different, but it will be kind of the same thing. And I feel like these two will be looked at in history together a lot. And it does feel like they both have destinies they can't escape. It just feels that way. It feels like they both have a very set destiny. And going back to my original vision, the King Kong vision, I feel like it is something we all need to see, that we all are aware of and need to see it. I'm going to stop trying to figure out when that happens or what it actually means, because I feel like I know that it is what it is, but it's like I can't put my finger on exactly. It's almost like it will be clear when it's done. It'll be clear when it's over, exactly what it meant. And it will make all the sense in the world. But I think trying to make sense of it beforehand almost seems futile. I keep trying to, and I know that it's correct, but I don't know the circumstances surrounding it. And that's always the place we're in as readers. We don't have context, or just kind of get these, pieces and try to put the pieces together. So I wanted to interject that and just say that these two men seem like they have a destiny waiting for them that they can't escape. Not a happy one. I'll just say that, not a happy one. See, I'm laughing again, but I don't think it's funny. I just think it isn't. When you think of destiny, you think of something, amazing that's waiting for you, but this is not that. But it is a destiny. I feel like they both have that they can't escape. No matter what they do at this point, it's done. It's a done deal. Lots of inventions around climate change next year. I feel like next year and the year after, I almost feel like this is for next year and the year after. It kind of feels like that. Because it just feels like it bleeds over. I always kind of feel like that with the year ones. I just feel like it's, a year is, time is weird, and it can be a little less than a year or more than a year, but it's in that vicinity. But I feel like a lot of inventions around climate change and weather, detection of weather. I got something with also discoveries around cancer and autoimmune diseases. And I felt like it was kind of like oh, now we understand. So I feel like it's something that they're going to discover about these things that we just didn't know before. That makes a huge difference in preventing them or in helping them, get better. But it's some kind of discovery that's coming around, and I feel like it's young, like young scientists or young, like a college group or something. But I don't think they're American. I feel like they might be in, I don't know, like Hungary or somewhere. They're from somewhere else. They don't, but it doesn't feel like they're from here. That could be not the case, because I can't figure out the place. So maybe they could be foreign students here or something like that, or our students traveling abroad or something. But it seems like they're young, and that it's kind of it's groundbreaking. It's groundbreaking. So that, and then something about species returning, species coming back, things that were endangered species kind of coming back. And I feel like it's sort of miraculous, but I also feel like it's to inspire hope as well, that we can turn things around. So I feel like it's definitely something amazing, but with a purpose. It is supposed to show us that we can do this, that we can turn things around if we put money towards it, and we put education towards it, and we work towards it, we can do it. So the way I've approached these readings is to assume that Trump's getting in, that he'll be in. And the reason that is because, and it could change. I'm not going to say it can't change. It can change. But the reason I'm doing that is because I feel like information about the election is coming in to our government from around the world. I feel like it's not just us. I feel like it's around us. But the problem I'm having is that I talked about this with Danny actually on his show. I don't feel any movement around it. With the difference is that with Mueller, I felt tons of movement. It just felt things were just moving. And then we saw arrests, and we saw this and that. It just felt like everything was moving. When Jack Smith started to work, it felt like motion. Everything felt like it was moving really fast. And if you go back and look at me talking about him, I kept saying he's very fast, he's very quick, he's on it. With this, it feels like there's no movement. It feels like stuff's coming in, but then it's just, that's it. It doesn't feel like anything's moving. So I don't know what to make of that. And I've asked, what do I make of this? And it's kind of like, we're waiting. So I don't know if they're waiting for more information, or if they're waiting for specific information, if they're waiting for a certain date, if they're waiting for, I'm not really sure. But I don't feel any movement. And so I feel like, well, to do these, let's just go with this reality that seems to be staring at us in the face. It doesn't mean things can't change. It doesn't mean that. I just have to kind of work with what's happening and the fact I'm not getting movement around this other stuff. When things change, I'll let you know. I'll feel it, I'm sure. Just like I felt something was weird the morning of the election, right? You feel these things when you're sensitive. You just feel them. You feel like something's off, something's wrong, and you don't always have specifics, but you definitely feel it. And so when things start to move, or when things seem like, oh, something's happening, I'll definitely let you know. But for now, I just feel like stuff's accumulating. It's like it's coming in, and that's it. That's all I'm feeling. So, or there's always the possibility I'm not supposed to know, or I'm not supposed to, to be squealing about it online, that I'm not supposed to know. So I'm kind of being blocked, or stopped or whatever. That's a possibility as well. But going with the reality that Trump would be in, what I got was that a lot of shock and awe at the beginning, a lot of kind of like um, throwing their weight around and doing some kind of distracting and kind of shocking things, going after enemies, just doing the stuff that they said, letting people out of prison, the January 6th people, just doing some things that are just like people are not happy about, basically. But what's weird is that I don't feel like outrage or hitting the streets or anything. Yet I do feel like that happens. And I did see like a massive protest of some kind that's coming. Um, but and I'm not sure where to place that. It's like before the inauguration or it was after, I'm not really sure, but I just did see that. So it's not as if people don't know what's happening. They're just not as willing to be triggered. And this is what I want to talk about too. And this is what we'll go back and talk about this, because I need to tell you a lot about how to handle this and what's going to be coming. But there's going to be a lot of kind of fear and confusion with some of this stuff. Like we'll hear things are happening and then we'll hear, no, that's not happening. So it's going to be kind of confusing. And I kind of feel like this may be around like immigration and things like that. I feel like a lot of states are going to be shutting that down quickly and saying, no, you're not going to do that here. And we're going to go to court. And I feel like things get like caught up in court. And so they kind of leave those states alone. And I feel like they go into the states they know they can, that they have the green light. And I feel like that's where it's going to be like a little bit like the kids in cages, a little bit like that, where it's kind of like we kind of know, but we're hearing some things, but we're not sure about other things. And it isn't until reporters and actually people get in where we actually know what's going on. So just know that there might be some odd stuff happening and confusion. And what Spirit has said is that to be ready for that and to have kind of your spiritual toolbox ready, and also your coping toolbox ready. So think about that now. What helps you to feel calm? What helps you to feel at peace? Because there's this idea that if people are in peril over here, I have to feel in peril. I have to feel upset and angry and mad, and I've got to be, and that is just not true. When there is fear, worry, anger, upset, turmoil, we need to bring in the opposite. It doesn't help to add more fear and more anger and more this and more that. Now, anger is a little bit different because it's kind of a movable energy. It can move you to take action. It can move you. And so if it's doing that, that's something different. That's kind of like a movable or an action-based kind of, anger. That we saw that with George Floyd, right? Everybody hit the streets around the world. Everybody hit the streets. It wasn't just here. It was everywhere. So that's a little bit different. But what we're talking about is when you're in a powerless position and you see things happening and you're not sure what to do and you just feel awful. I feel awful for these people. I feel you pity. I feel anger. And you're just kind of racked with this stuff. What Spirit is telling us is that we need to find a way to move into the opposite, because that's what it needs. War does not need more war. It needs peace. Fear does not need more fear. It needs love, right? And hate, same thing. It needs love, right? So moving into these opposite energies, and it takes practice, and it takes taking responsibility and control over your personal power. which we all have, and which is the other thing I wanted to get to as well, is that they made a big deal about personal power being huge over the next year, realizing what you have, what you can control, what you can do as just one person, and taking control of that and not giving it away, taking control of that and taking that responsibility. So for this beginning part where it's kind of shocking and weird and angry and mean and all of these things, and lying, um, you know, gaslighting, all that stuff, that first of all, you don't have to be part of it at all. You don't have to watch it unfold. I kind of thought for the next year or so, I'm just going to watch the local news, because I feel like they'd always spend time on what's going on around the world, but it's very quick. And then you get what's going on locally, and then you kind of get a feel-good story at the end. So I thought that's the way I'm going to kind of keep aware of what's going on, but not be dragged into it where I'm worried every day, or in it every day, or angry about it every day. So having a toolbox, whether that's meditation or a class, or working on your abilities, or getting really good at reading energy, having things that you have at your disposal that you can move into, to either read the situation, to get information for yourself if it's something going on in your area or around you. You can get kind of, what should I do about this? And your higher self knows. Your guides will tell you. So having this way to kind of connect in is going to be vital. And so finding out what that toolbox is to bring you to that place, knowing how to get centered, knowing how to get grounded, knowing how to move into different types of meditation. All of this stuff will be so helpful. We're doing the New Earth class, so we're learning all about Eckhart Tolle's teachings are great for this. Becoming present, coming out of your head and not worrying. All of these things. So think of what your toolbox is. And all you have to think about is, what makes me feel calm? What makes me feel at peace? What kind of brings me to the here and now, and kind of allows me to be in this moment, but to be at peace, to be calm. And also knowing the power of sending your energy out and things like that. So all of these things are really important. And maybe it's things like journaling, or maybe there's an art form you like to take part in. You like to paint, or you like to color, or you like to work in the garden. You like to sit in nature, or sit under a specific tree, or be with your pets. But thinking about some things that you can do, that you can turn to in these moments of when you're unsure, or you don't know what to do, or you're not sure. Because once you move into those spaces of kind of calm and peace, and you get kind of centered, and you're kind of moving into that spirit self, that, or you would say your higher consciousness, your higher self, you're moving into that. That's when the information comes. What can I do? What can you do? And then you'll have a direction. Okay. They've made a big deal with personal power, right? Taking your personal power and knowing that every single soul that is here wanted to be here for this. So whatever's coming is, whether it's positive or seen as negative right away, it is, we all wanted to be here for this. And they were talking about it as though every single soul matters in this. And so even if you're just managing your energy, I'm just going to be peaceful and calm, and I'm going to spread that to any person I talk to, and I'm going to push it out as far as I can. Even that matters. Okay, so every single soul that's here, whether you stay in the house or you get out of the house, whether you are an active like advocate or a involved in causes and things, or whether you are single, solitary by yourself, every single soul matters in this. If this is the road we're going down, right? Every single soul matters, and every single soul's energy matters. And so being aware of your personal power, and that in the ultimate way, we're all okay. We're all okay. We don't die. Nobody dies. The body is no longer viable for one reason or another, but we don't die. We go on and we come back, and we go on and we come back. And it is not a prison planet. It is not a prison here. We choose to come because we want to raise the vibration of the earth and move it to higher ground. And we knew we would have to go through these really tough, dense, dark energies to move, to not only evolve as humans, but evolve as spirits, as humans. So it's been a whole thing, right? And we're getting to the, if this were a sitcom, we would be like almost to the finale episode. We're kind of at that part where everything seems to be going wrong and everything seems to be bad. And then all of a sudden things flip. And the other thing I want to tell you is that no matter how negative things look, it's just the way they look, because there is a higher order going on here. There's a higher purpose. There's a higher place this is going. It's all headed in a evolving and positive direction. And how it looks is how it looks. Okay. Our view from where we are is very limited, right? And so that leads me into the next thing that they wanted to talk about, which is perception. To use your perception to create your world. I've talked about this before as this idea of breaking your leg during the summertime, right? And you have to be inside, you have to be sitting most of the time, you can't really do anything. And your view can be, your perception can be, broken my leg, I can't do anything, this house is like a prison, I can't go anywhere, everybody's out doing stuff, I have to sit here, this is stupid, my leg is stupid, everything's stupid. That can be your perception. Or you can have the perception of, this is an unfortunate challenge, and thank goodness I have this house to recover in. Thank goodness I have a lot of things that I can do that I've been putting off. There's a bunch of books I want to read. I want to start that book I want to write. I want to journal. I want to call old friends. I want to, rearrange all my online stuff. This will give me the perfect opportunity to do that. I'm safe. I can bring the outdoors indoors. I can bring some plants in and bring my stuff off the front porch inside so I can enjoy it. And I am just going to take this time to recover and relax. And my home is going to be my sanctuary, right? So you've got the same event, but two different perceptions. That's how powerful perception is. And you think about those two energies too, right? The person who sees this as, how am I going to stand this? It's a prison here. What is the energy of that person, right? Negative, hateful, angry, worried, upset, just this constant negative energy, right? And who knows, how many people they put that out on, people that call or people that come by, or, I'm angry, I'm this, I'm that, how can I, right? The complaining, and then think of the energy of the other person, how people would probably be drawn to that home because it would be so peaceful and so content. And that is the power of that. We don't really realize how much our perception plays into things on the daily because everything's shifting so much. And we kind of go about our day to day like we normally go about our day to day, but that perception is extremely powerful, and it's extremely powerful in creating and maintaining a specific energy in you. And so having the perception and taking control of the perception that's around you, your home, the people you come in contact with, the news you take in, the stuff you read, the stuff you watch, the stuff you put into your body, the way you go about your day, it's all going to be important. And it's also going to be your experience of this time. It does not have to be crazy and awful and chaotic for everybody. And in fact, the hope is that people hearing this will make sure that they put everything in place so that they can hold that energy of peace and calm and okayness. Because we'll have plenty of people being angry and upset and people having issues and problems because of this freight train that's coming. It's going to be a lot. But the hope is that enough people will have learned from the last time, right? We're not getting involved. We're not going into, we're going to keep our powder dry, right? We're not going to go into every single little thing. We're not going to follow the shiny objects, which there will be tons, and we're not going to do it. We're going to stay focused. And in that focus is creating our own perception. And it doesn't mean denying what's happening or hiding from the world. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about trying to maintain something to help something else, right? We'll know what's going on. We'll have a really good idea of what's going on and what's happening, because you watch people like me, and so we'll be keeping you abreast. And then we have the news. We have plenty of ways to find out, a million ways online, right? But the idea is to counterbalance the craziness with calm, with peace. It's also to kind of be the light. In the darkness, people are going to look for the light. So we need to be the light and keep that light shining. It's very important. And it's very, very important. And so you can take it how you want, but I'm just letting you know that it's going to be very important, and creating and deciding how you're going to perceive things is very important. Okay. Your perception. And the last couple of things now, they wanted me to us to remember that. And the reason, so one of the reasons that getting our energy in place and holding this good energy is partly because those of us who are who didn't vote for Trump, didn't vote for him, those of us who didn't do that, we tend to be the pack that's kind of the empathic, have empathy, have compassion. We're the empaths, right? And the other is kind of the narcissistic. What about me? What do I get? What's in it for me? What's in it for myself? I want more. I want more. I want more. And while that is spinning out of control and going into all the crazy things they want to do, this is where we need to be. And empaths need to learn self-love, and narcissists need to learn how to have compassion for others. Empaths do not need to learn how to have compassion for others. It's built in. They have it. What they need to learn is how to love themselves. and how to self-preserve and be kind to themselves. And so that's also in the mix here. So when you're thinking about they're going to be learning their lessons in a different way, we're going to be learning this lesson. And part of the having your toolbox and part of the creating your perception, creating your kind of world around you is that self-love, self-care thing that empaths need to be learning right now. We know how to care about other people. We know how to have compassion, empathy, all of those things. We need to find it for ourselves and then emanate that. Be the example, be the light. Okay. So that was brought in. And then the other thing they wanted to, that they gave me, which you might find helpful, is, guides always, they either pull from your own memory bank or they pull from, for me, they use my catalog of TV and movies and that kind of thing. And they brought back a memory because I asked her, how is this going to play out, right? How is this going to play out? If this guy gets in, how is this going to play out? And they said, well, right now, we're kind of before the storm. And they gave me a memory that I had. Every year, my family would go to Utah. We drive through the desert, from California through Nevada to Utah. It was something we did every year, at least once, to go visit my grandmother. And she lived in Logan, which is up in the mountains. And she lived in this apartment building. It almost looked like a tall motel because all the doors faced out. And she lived on the top floor. I don't even know how she did that in her 70s, walked up all those flights of stairs. But she did, no elevator. Or at least if there was one, she didn't use it. And she lived on one end of the top floor. And my aunt, her sister, lived on the other side of the top floor. This is at one point in the 70s. They both lived there. And we would go to visit, and every year, it seemed like every year we went to Utah, there would be a thunderstorm. And from California, this was exciting because we did not have the summertime thunderstorms. It was just unusual. And they'd be like big thunder and lightning storms. And my guides wanted to use this as kind of showing us what it's going to look like and what we should be doing. So what I remembered was that when one of these thunderstorms was coming during the day, it would all of a sudden get really muggy, and it would feel like it was almost like the ceiling was caving in. It just felt muggy and uncomfortable and kind of like you were being strangled. It just did not feel good. And there was also this usually dark clouds in the far away, but you could see them coming, and you'd hear kind of this rumble, and it was unsettling. It was uncomfortable and unsettling, and that's where we are right now. We're in this space. It's like we can't escape. We can't go. Where are we going to go? We're just in it, and we can hear it coming, and we kind of see it coming. And it seems scary, right? Big, scary, rumbly, tumbly. And what would happen, though, before the storm is that because my grandmother was afraid of thunder and lightning, she and her sister would check on each other, make sure they had everything in place. And I felt like this was telling us that we're going to be checking on each other and making sure we're okay throughout this process. They're giving me chills right now. So we're going to be checking on each other. And we talked before about making sure that we're taking care of the communities that will be targeted. And we'll do this in our own ways. There'll be will be people that it'll be right in front of their door. Like it'll be across the street. It'll be right in our neighborhood. And there will be other people that are across the country, but sending energy and sending letters and signing petitions and sending money, doing what they can from there. So there'll be this kind of rallying around people, right? But this is where we are in this kind of uncomfortable, what in the world is going to happen? And then during the storm would come. And this kind of tells us something too, because in Utah, the worst thing was always the thunder. The actual storm usually wasn't that bad. Like the wind and the rain and there usually was wind and was rain and there was some lightning, but the worst thing was the thunder because it was just so loud. But it didn't do anything. It was just loud. And so that tells us something else, which is that a lot of this is going to be talk and blustering and loud and obnoxious and annoying. And so we're going to have to be aware of that and to know what's real and happening and what's just talk. And so we just have to be aware of that. Also during the storm, you'd have, if the lights went out or things like that, you'd have a coming together. You'd have people coming together. You'd be very, you'd get inventive, right? Because we had to like make up games and do stuff in the dark and figure out what we're going to do, for dinner and for how are we going to do these things with no electricity. And you became very creative. Kind of reminds me of COVID a little bit, how people got very creative at how they were going to get in touch with people and have birthday parties and things like that. So there'll be, through this kind of darkness, there'll be this coming together and there will be solutions found because we have to find them. And there will be appreciation too for what is intact and for what we can figure out together. So there's that as well. And just remember that the thunder is this, it has to do with kind of the blustering, the threats, the bullying, the intimidating. That's what it is. That's what that is supposed to represent. And to kind of just see it as that it's just noise. It's just noise. Now, when they brought up the lightning, right? And it does stand that every storm, there'd always be people that got under a tree and thought they'd be safe under a tree, or put up their umbrella when they thought they'd be safe in a lightning storm under the umbrella. So we're going to have people that think they're safe, but they're not. And I felt like these were people like in the administration around Trump. So we're going to see people getting fired and people getting ruined and stuff within these groups because they think they're safe and they're not. So we're also going to have that. And so that brings me to kind of after the storm. After the storms in Utah, what was miraculous was that, and this is the important part really, is that once the storm was over, you'd go outside and that horrible kind of foreboding, kind of muggy feeling was gone. And the air was clear and crisp and clean. And everything, because the rain, it would happen so fast, right? And the rain would come and then the sun would come out or it would kind of come through the clouds really bright, that everything looked like it was glowing because it would still have that rain on it but the sun would be shining so brightly. So it was always so fun to go out after the storm because it just looked like a brand new world. And that's the important part here. That's the something we have to keep in mind, that this is leading to something that's going to be making us better. And when they gave me that analogy of the storm, And that those particular kinds of storms that we had in Utah, through the eyes of a Californian, that was the important part, was that it was like a new world afterwards. It was as if it never happened, and everything was better. And so there will come a time when whatever takes place makes us better, makes us newer, brings new things into the world, into our world, brings new things, new ideas, doing things differently that are better for everybody. We can't keep doing what we're doing. We can't keep leaving a whole section of people out. Our poor and working poor, we can't do that anymore. It's not working. And we can't have the extremely, extremely, extremely wealthy just wanting more. And they just want more. And it's never going to be enough. And we can't have that anymore. That's not working. And the other thing that's not working is the way that we just purchase stuff and just buy stuff. And that's how our economy runs. We can't do that anymore. We've got to take care of people. I'm not going to get on my soapbox about it, but those are the kinds of things that are broken and have been broken for a long time. We can't just leave disenfranchised people out of and to pretend like it's not happening. We have to bring people in. We have got to have a kinder, better healthcare system. We have got to have a kinder and better economy. We've got to have kinder and better safety nets and help people to get up and get moving again. And we have to be kinder to drug addicts and to people that are stealing because they have no other way to make money or whatever. We've got to be smarter and better about this stuff. And this is all the stuff that's going to be kind of laid out to us. And I felt like a lot of stuff should have been done during COVID, but it wasn't for some reason. It wasn't enough, or it wasn't long enough, or, we were kind of rescued out of it. And so everybody just kind of got back to normal. Some things definitely happened. People definitely woke up to their own, like, I don't want to work in this job anymore. I want to be more creative. I want to see my kids grow up. And we definitely had a lot of personal revelation. But there are things we need to fix, as a society. And it's going to happen one way or another. Like I said, either it's going to be this longer, softer road with, kind of Kamala and things in charge, or it's going to be this kind of rough, kind of unrelenting road. But either way, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. We're going to get to the sunshiny kind of new world that we're all hoping for right now. Some way, somehow. Well, I'm telling you it's going to happen, but we're going to go through a storm. And that's the way that they put it to me. And so I hope that, I realize this video has been almost an hour, but I've been waiting and waiting to give you these predictions, and I hope that it's helpful. I will say once again, which I always say, is that we are in this together. We're in this together as a spiritual community, and click the subscribe button if you want to be part of that community. For my own part, like I said, I want to be a helper. So I'm going to keep the book club going as long as people want to do it. It's just by donation. It's not, it's just, that's what it is. And I want to help, and we'll have our prayers. Anytime you need a prayer request, let me know. We have a prayer group that prays and does healings for people on, our community section. They're ready and always there to give prayers to people. We have our club if you want to do something like that. get involved, do stuff, uh, build your, use your perception to build your world around you that you want to see. And get your toolbox. Get your toolbox. Books, things that just bring you peace and bring you calm. Anytime. I have certain books I read. I have meditation. I have prayer. I have, certain TV shows I watch, certain foods I like. I mean, I've got a toolbox. so get your toolbox, okay? Get your toolbox ready, and we will get through this. It's not going to be like last time. It's going to be different, but we can do this, and we can do it in a way that's actually very calm and taking our own personal power back. Okay. All right. So, if anything changes, with the information coming in and that kind of stuff, I'll let you know. But for right now, I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling the movement that I want to be feeling for that to be happening. So we'll see. All right. Okay. Take care, everybody. Love you guys. See you next year. Bye.